Hey YouTube, how's it going? Buzzed Games back again with another instructional. This time I'm going to be talking about wire management. This is something that a lot of gamers and builders don't really pay a lot of attention to. I'm not gonna lie, for a long time I didn't. I mean, I'm still learning about wire management. It's just one of those things that it's hard to do for a lot of people. It's very time consuming. You can plug everything in and throw your wires where they need to go, and then just be like, okay, well, it's just too much of a hassle. I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. Well, the problem is when you have look, when you have all your wires in your case like this, what do you think is happening to your airflow when all you see is a jumble of wires like that? This is blocking the airflow. It's causing your components to get hotter than they need to be, which results in your system being slower than it should be. It should be a lot faster. So I'm going to be talking specifically about wire management, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I mean about wire management and how you can do it. Some people call it wire management, some people call it cable management. It's all the same thing. It's just, verbiage. Now, first thing to note about cable or wire management is, okay, I'm going to move these out of the way so you guys can see behind. Now behind, on the back of this case, are all these little grommets. And basically the purpose and the intention of having this on the on the case, on the same part where the motherboard is that you can run your cables that I'm going to show you. You can take your cables like this right here. This is the motherboard main power cable, and normally somebody would just take it like this and stick it right there. Do you see where it attaches to? It's kind of hard to see with the lighting here. There, right where that, right where the glare is. That is where this big fat, I don't know, it's like a 24 something head connector, pin connector. A lazy person would just plug it in right there, and then it'd be across the top. But with good wire management skills, you can actually see this little grommet down here. This can be poked through, and suddenly it's out of sight. And yeah, that's kind of how wired management works. You place things through in your case. Not all cases are going to have these. I specifically chose this case because the price range and the nice clean availability of these grommets really attracted me to purchase it. Other cases will just have a gap, kind of like you see down here. There's a gap where my fingers can go underneath this shelf. That's also another way you can manage wires. There's little holes, and there's just these little tiny places where you can stick your wires and develop a really nice wire management system. Now, I took off the back cover so that you guys could see what's going on back here. Let me get our lighting going on. Sorry, I know that's really blinding. Okay, so down there is the wire that I poked through. I'm just going to grab it and help it along. I'm going to pull it the rest of the way until I don't really feel any more resistance. Feels pretty good the way it is right now. Okay, so now if you look back in here, you kind of see what happened to it. Kind of got a little bit twisted, a little bit tangled right here. Kind of messed with the grommet. Grommet came off a little bit. That's okay. These are meant to be removed and reinstalled. So it's just a matter of being patient. See, that just goes right back on just like that. I mean, if this wasn't flexible and able to handle the strain of shoving cables through it, you'd probably see these things breaking a lot. And so that's not That's not what we want happening. So I'm happy that these come off like that. It tells me I need to be more gentle with my cables and with what I'm going to do. Since this is definitely going to be going, since this connector, especially this big one, since it's definitely going to be going right up here in this area, into this spot, I'm probably going to want it coming out of this spot, which means I want it running vertically. So it's actually, the wiser idea would have been to not try to stick it in this grommet anyways. Do you see the logic behind it? Sorry, I'm just trying to stick this one grommet back on. The wiser idea would have been to stick it through this one, which is what I will do. This would go straight through there, just like you're seeing now. Sorry for the shoddy filming, by the way. This would just go straight through. You can kind of help it along with both hands. And there you go. That would be a nice clean look. Look at that. That takes up minimal space, very minimal visual clutter. I could do the same thing actually with the second one, the second attachment right here. I could just poke it through the grommet right next to it. And then come along the back here, let's check it out, see how it's looking back here. Let me get the lighting situated for you real quickly. I really need to buy another light. Okay, now you can see. You can see right down in there the wires poking out. Here's the big motherboard wire, which is going to be coming, I believe, back into this one. See? Just like that. Poke it back through, and let's see if it made it. It did. There it is. Check it out. So yeah, this is a time-consuming process, the wire management. But if you're patient, like look, it's right here, and it's literally. Sorry, can you see that better now? Look, it's literally poked out of the location that it needs to go into. So I would just twist it like that, poke it right in, and then you just remove the whole travel through the inside of your case out of the equation. See how I did that? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pause. I'm going to pause this film, and I'm going to just start it, turn it back on when I finish doing all my wire management. I will watch the clock and let you know exactly how long it took me, and I will show you what little methods and tricks I used to do it, okay? So I will be back in just a sec. Alright guys, I am back. It took me a couple hours actually. I'm talking about, about 2 hours to get this system, to get the half the cabling done the way I am happy with. So let me show you what I did. Okay, all the power cables. Okay, we'll start with the power supply down at the bottom here. I'm still not done, but I'm far enough along that I wanted to show you guys. Here is the power supply and all the cables. I know it's kind of hard to see. My lighting angle is bad here. There we go. All of the power cables run straight from the power supply into the back and through the grommets. Both of these two grommets basically take all the power cables for the entire computer. Then those, I'll show you in the back in just a second, those basically go to their corresponding parts and come back into the inside of the case. This is the only part I did not like. The attached the modular cable that came with the power supply had these extra 2 pins attached for the graphics card connectors. So I'll probably need to replace this cable in the future. For now, I've got these little tiny 2 pins that are just sticking out and looking very terrible. I've wired all. I know it's kind of hard to see. Here's the sound. I've got all the wiring done. Here's all the fans done. I got the whole system panel done. and it's looking good. I have yet to actually test it, but it is set up for a test. So I'm going to show you the rest of the cables from the back. The back looks terrible. I haven't finished the back, but I wanted you guys to see the front. As far as these cables right here, I'm sure you're probably wondering, like, what the heck are these cables sticking out right here? These are actually going to be useless cables. The motherboard, these are obsolete cables basically. The motherboard already performs the tasks for me, and none of these are useful. So I'm probably going to just take these, poke them through the back, and just, you know, ball them up into like a nice little circle, tie them off, and leave them there. The other parts of the cables that I did use, they're all color. See how I got them color coded, and they're also zip tied. Here is the SATA hookups for the CD-ROM drive, DVD player. I opted, instead of going through the grommet, it's kind of hard to see, sorry. I opted, instead of trying to go through the grommet here, because this would have been the best choice, I actually was able to snake it through the little gap in the case, and I really like that appearance better. It looks a lot more clean and has less wiring. Here is that main cable that I was telling you about earlier for the this is the motherboard's power supply. The other main cable that I had stuck in the back when I showed you guys earlier what I was doing or how I was going to do it. Here's the other cable back here. Can you see it? And I just barely had about 2 extra inches of clearance coming from all the way down here. This is that same cable I'm showing you right now. It's this one right here. It goes directly into there, shoots straight up, and then comes out the top. I had about 2 inches of clearance, so that one barely made it, but luckily enough it did. So that's how the front of this case is going to look for the time being. It's fairly clean. I would call this above par cable management. Once I tuck these orange ones away, you'll understand more of what I'm saying. But as far as the back goes, this is the horror story. The lighting's even going to be hard because I had the whole case has been shifted. But you can kind of see. Here's what the back is looking like right now. I have all the cables just out and about, and my next process is going to be to take them kind of like this, streamline them down, keep them all bunched together nice and neat, zip tie them or twisty tie them or whatever, and then probably put the back on the case, and I will be finished. But since we are here, I figure we will do a test boot. I already have the power's hooked up down here. I just plugged it in before I turn the camera back on. So the power's hooked up. We've got an HDMI cable running. Oh, this is probably useful information for you guys. If you're trying to do your first build, do not make the common mistake of plugging in your HDMI cable into your motherboard slot. If you do that and you try to do a test boot, you're not going to see any picture at all on your screen, and you're going to think like, oh, something's wrong, and you're going to start messing with things trying to fix it. You want to plug in that HDMI, if you're using HDMI cables, which nowadays everybody pretty much is. You want to hook up your HDMI cable to your actual video card, okay? Remember to do that, guys. Alright, so here is the test boot. I'm not even going to use the one on the motherboard. I'm going to see if the switch on the top of the case is functional. Alright, so cross your fingers. Here we go. Alright. It works. We have liftoff, and the screen, usually you hit F2 or delete, reboot, and select proper disk drive. So it looks like everything is up and running perfectly. You don't hear a beep because I didn't connect the onboard speaker Otherwise you would have heard that beep too. But yeah, here, let me turn off the light. Check this out, guys. Here is the LED I was telling you about in the front. It's got a red one down here. There's the switch for it. You can turn it off. Then it's also got one in the top. It's that nice, really cool looking THOR design. And then on the inside of the case, down here at the bottom, I like how this is just a very low profile computer. There's the video card. It's got a couple of blue LEDs on it. And that's it. That's the nice dark stealthy look of the THOR V2. Some people like to make them flashy and add a whole bunch of lights and stuff. I don't see the point. If anything, when somebody breaks into your house, they're gonna see those lights and they're gonna be like, ooh, and they're gonna steal your computer. Alright, so that's good news. That means that all the parts were working and Newegg did a good job. It was a good purchase. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to probably finish doing my cable management, show you that before I close the back up, install the operating system, and we'll be on our way. This is probably one of the last videos. Be right back, guys. Alright guys, here we go. I just finished. It's not the best job I've ever done, but as you can tell, all the power cords and the various connections are all very organized, very bunched together, and for the most part they look clean. This would be, I would consider this a decent, not an amazing, but a decent cable management setup for the back. Especially since like people aren't viewing the back of the case. I mean, as long as you have things fairly organized, it's not that bad. But alright, so there's the back. I'm going to show you guys the front once again. Yes, those are pink scissors. I support breast cancer awareness. Alright, so actually first I'm going to put the back case on. And just like with the front case, you just it takes two little thumb screws, and it's fairly easy to install. Okay, I think I have the screws around here somewhere. I got them. You guys see how the door shuts on its own, fairly easy. That's the other good sign of a proper cable management system in the back. You don't have to force the lid shut. It closes on its own, and that just gives you an idea that there is still going to be airflow back there, even though it is closed off like it is. So let's turn it around. I'll give you guys one last look at the front. And by the way, this case, before I started putting components in, weighed I think it was 40 pounds, just the case alone. Now I wouldn't be surprised if this thing weighs about 65 pounds. It's pretty heavy. Alright, so there we are. There's the front. Still looks the same as when I first showed you. It's nice and managed very well. And that, my friends, there's a reason why I'm spending this much time, about cable management. I really want you all to see and learn. It's kind of hard to see with these cables right here. But I had actually, there's a type of braiding you can do with cables, like this many. All I did was take, like, you know how to make a typical braid for like the back of somebody's hair. You can do that with like a bunch of useless cables. You can braid them, and it saves you having to use extra twisty ties or zip ties or whatever it is that you like to use. Alright, but yeah, there it is. And would you guys, if you would please leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see anything more about my case, I'd be happy to show you. I can upload extra video. But thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm Buzzed Games, and I will see you guys next time.